We're ready.
Mr. Reporter,
Yes, sir.
ready?
We're ready.
Okay. Good morning. Welcome to the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's morning docket. Today is Thursday, January 23rd, 2020. This morning, the board will hear regular items, new, transfer, expansion, hardship applications. When your case is called, please step forward into the microphone and state your name. If you're going to be giving testimony, please be prepared to be sworn in by our court reporter. I'd ask that if you have an electronic device, a phone or electronic device, that you please silence it or turn it on vibrate now. Mr. Chair, I have some preliminary matters.
Please.
Harbor Enterprise LLC, trading as the Broom Factory, 3500 Boston Street. This was a transfer of ownership for a Class B beer wine liquor license. This matter has been postponed. That was case number 5. Case number 6, Iliros LLC, trading as Placa Tavern, 4714 through 18 Eastern Avenue. Transfer of ownership for a BD7 beer wine liquor license. This matter has been postponed. Case number 9, Rye LLC, trading as Rye Tavern, or trading as Rye, 1639 Thames Street. This is a transfer of ownership, transfer of hardship extension under Alcoholic Beverages Article 121705. This matter has been postponed. All postponed cases will be placed on future dockets. Calling case number 1, The Manor Baltimore LLC, trading as The Manor, 924 North Charles Street. There's an application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 121603C1 small I, requiring $200,000 in capital investment in restaurant fixtures and facilities, 40% of food sales, and seating capacity for a minimum of 75 individuals, requesting live entertainment, outdoor table service, and off-premise catering.
Good afternoon, or good morning. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicants.
Good morning. Gentlemen, will you raise your right hands, please?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Mr. Fogelman?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. First, before I do anything, I have one original executed copy of a memorandum of understanding executed between the applicant and the Mount Vernon Belvedere Association this morning. So I want to make sure that one goes into evidence, and I have, looks like some courtesy copies for
It will be received.
the rest of you. Thank you. Okay. The Manor, Baltimore. It's an iconic jewel of the neighborhood, the brass elephant, the elephant, a lot of history there, a lot of historical architecture and value there. It is it's being taken over by these gentlemen, Mr. Preston and Mr. Gay. Mr. Gay has management experience in the alcohol business for at least 6 months at 518 North Charles Street. Another licensed establishment.
Is that you, sir?
I'm sorry, and and I'll have them both testify very briefly. Second exhibit I want to direct to your attention, and I wasn't sure I was going to have. This is a copy on the top of the MOU, unsigned, but it's like I said, I wanted the original to go into as the exhibit.
Okay.
On the back of that is the back half of that exhibit is the lunch and dinner menu. And I will have Mr. Gay describe the menu in just a few seconds.
Yeah, so the chef, his father was chef for 25 years, Manor Tavern, so it's Parker Green, so we're excited to have him on board. We're going to be offering lunch and dinner, a modern American type food, so the neighborhood's really responded to it very well. We were at the meeting a couple nights ago, so everybody's kind of excited and ready to get in there. Yep.
Has the other restaurant, the Elephant, been closed?
Yes,
For
and
some
I'll
time.
get into that just right now. But in the meantime, Mr. Gay, while I have you here, do you you have years in experience in accounting? That's your
Yeah,
that's
so
what you do?
I have a bachelor's in accounting, so I did that for 20 years. I also own a commercial janitorial cleaning service as well.
Okay, thank you very much. And all right, with respect to, we also have Mr. Preston here. He just wants to briefly speak about the outreach with the neighborhood.
That's fine.
Thank you.
So I was unable to attend the neighborhood meeting, but my partner here, Rob, he was able to attend the meeting, and it was great fanfare. As Mr. Fogelman mentioned, it's an iconic building. One of the things that we're most excited about is Charles Street, and this stretch really lacks a street presence, and so we're hoping to revive that. So prior business establishments always had dinner and after entertainment. This is going to be lunch, dinner, and after. So it's really trying to just breathe some life into this stretch of Charles Street and give it a better street presence to this building, which is iconic for so many people.
And does the, I'm sorry if I could, Mr. Chairman, and does the outdoor seating help with that, I assume?
Yes, it's outdoor seating, but also just being able to, we've heard from a lot of people yesterday. We did some outreach at the Maryland Club, and folks were just saying they didn't feel like there was a good relationship between the building and the neighborhood before, and so we're hoping to sort of bridge that gap and doing outreach to surrounding businesses to really all rising tide helps rise all ships. So that's sort of what we're hoping to do with this.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Gay, you have seating for approximately how many?
The use occupancy, I think, is 99 downstairs and 50 upstairs.
All right,
So
but you
one-
plan to have well over 75 seats?
Yes.
Not just at the bar and not outdoor?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Dining.
thank you. All right, and then finally, I gave you this exhibit just a minute ago. It's financials showing over $423,000 between capital investment, restaurant equipment. Now, the last incarnation of this business went to bankruptcy, and the license expired. Over $1.5 million was put into the building over those 8 years, and $458,000 over the last 5 years. So the investment is all within the last 5 years, and it's one of these situations where you have an historic building, and at some point it becomes impossible to put more money into the building without ripping out marble fireplaces of great significant value. So I think under the statute, we've more than covered those bases.
Okay. And to the extent that the memorandum of understanding imposes restrictions on your license, are you willing to have that made a part of your license requirement?
Yes, yeah, meeting with Michelle Richter, the president, yeah, we were in agreement on all the terms for the neighborhood.
And did the liquor board receive a letter from Michelle Richter? It's dated the 21st, but I just became aware of it this morning. So I'll give the chairman a copy.
Okay, thank you.
Finally, I have some photos showing the tremendous beauty of this place, and it's just fascinating, and it needs to be open.
Yes, it's a great place, no question. Been there a long time.
Yeah, it's beautiful, yep.
Okay, is there anything further? So who's going to be handling the liquor at the establishment?
I will be, yes, yeah.
You'll be hiring people, obviously.
Yes, yeah, so I have a general manager already hired, obviously the chef, and then I have a front of house manager.
And will they be tip certified?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
None. Nature of the live entertainment?
I mean, like when I spoke with Michelle Richter, we, like I said, one night we might have a guy come in with a keyboard, dueling pianos type situation, DJ on, but we have not anything with a band or anything like that, no. And she did put in the MOU that there's no third-party promoters that are allowed to do any events there.
Do you have any place for a band?
Yeah, I mean, the second room back there by the bar is really nice, kind of opens up, and, there's an atrium there, it's really nice.
Okay.
Nothing further.
Anything else, Mr. Fogelman?
No, thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, as well as the exhibits received, the testimony received and proffers from counsel, I would vote to approve the application for the new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license with live entertainment, outdoor table service, and off-premise catering. The license will be subject to the terms and conditions of a memorandum of understanding between the Mount Vernon Belvedere Improvement Association and the Manor Baltimore LLC, trading as the Manor, to the extent those terms are enforceable by law.
I concur with the chair.
I, too, vote to approve the new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license with live entertainment, outdoor table service, and off-premise catering, subject to the memorandum of understanding between the Mount Vernon Belvedere Improvement Association and the Manor. to the extent that they're enforceable by law. Good luck.
Good luck,
Thank you very
gentlemen.
much, Commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Like exhibits for the record, Board Exhibit 1, MOU. Board Exhibit 2, Capital Investment. Board Exhibit 3, Love Support from Mount Vernon Belvedere Association. Thank you.
Calling the next case, Poppy and Company LLC, trading as Poppy Cuisine, 1928 Fleet Street. There's an application to transfer ownership of a Class B beer wine liquor license requesting off-premise catering. Board to rehear manner concerning an issue identified during the issuance process.
Counsel?
Thank you. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicants.
Good morning. Would you folks raise your right hands, please?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so this case was in September, is that right, Mr. Fogelman?
That is correct. Thank you, Your Honor.
And so where are we today?
Okay, so here's where we are. Full admission. We have Mr. Clark here and Mr. Perez. They are the operators of the business. And we have Miss Olivia Thomas here, who is the city resident in this matter. She also happens to be the grandmother of Mr. Clark, who's standing next to her. In this situation, when the applicants applied for the liquor license, I explained to them that they needed a city resident, and they said, well, no problem. We have my grandmother. She's lived in Baltimore forever. And so they filled out the application. It was filed. And Miss Thomas didn't necessarily check the box for whether or not she'd been found guilty of a crime. Mr. Berry made an assumption that she was not and put no on the application. Fast forward about 3 months later, hearing a request approved. They're going to get fingerprinted and they're about to get the license. The form at the CJIS facility up on Reisterstown Road asks the same question. It says, have you ever been convicted of a crime? And Ms. Thomas was there and said, well, son, there's something that happened 51 years ago. I don't know if I should, if I need to put this down or not. They said, well, let's ask the clerk working at the facility. And she said, oh, no, you're telling me that you had an assault 51 years ago? No, you don't have to worry about that. And so she put no on the form for the fingerprint. And of course, it comes back that in 1968, that she was convicted of assault. She spent 30 days at the Maryland Correctional Institute for Women in Jessup because Baltimore City did not have a facility for women at that time. The case search on this case, on Miss Thomas, on any Olivia Thomas, only goes back to 1991. It was a situation where really it was just an error. Mr. Clark made an assumption there. Miss Thomas.
In 1968.
And in fact, she remembers that she was, I guess, released just 2 days before his mother was born. And so that was 51 years ago. And she has had no run-ins with the law ever since. She's been a voter for decades. She spent 25 years working at AT&T and the last 10 years of her career working at the Municipal Telephone Exchange here in the city of Baltimore. We apologize for the miscommunication.
Well, being the only one else in the room who was here in 1968, I don't remember. Except maybe Mel. Okay, commissioners have any questions?
And I'd be happy to ask them to just verify, they're under oath, to verify the contents of
you
the...
may, what he stated just now, Ms. Thomas, is that all accurate?
That's all accurate, just that it was my maiden name then,
And what was your maiden
Brett.
name? I'm sorry.
Bradford, and I put it, always added that way, Olivia Bradford Thomas,
Oh, okay.
always.
I understand. Anything
No,
further?
nothing.
No question.
Okay, so the issue before us is whether we will approve the transfer based on this new information that was omitted from the original application. It's been amended, I take it?
Yeah, if not, it will be today. So, thank you.
Yes. Okay, I'd vote to approve it based on the proffers and testimony we've heard today with respect to what an aged misdemeanor conviction this is, and that since then there's been no problems, and she's merely going to be the resident on the license anyway. So I'd
I
approve.
concur with the chair.
Yeah, I would concur as well. This was clearly not intentional, and this was many decades ago. And
Thank you so much.
yeah, no, I would approve the transfer.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No exhibits.
Calling next case, And Cross Incorporated, trading as One Star Country Club, 38 East Cross Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, liquor license, an application to transfer ownership under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1609, E 1 through 2.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Gary Maslin filling in for Frank Charles. On my way to make it this morning on behalf of the applicant, Andrew Lazinski. Mr. Lazinski is a current licensee at Blue Agave, is an extremely experienced licensee in the restaurant business. He is taking over the 38 Cross Street location, which is in close proximity to Blue Agave. He's a fine restaurateur. He is very familiar with the rules and regulations of this board, also has an alcohol awareness certificate, and I would ask the board to approve his application.
Can we swear him? Would you raise your right hand, please?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Lisinski, are you still on the Blue Agave license?
Correct.
Okay. And can he be on two licenses?
Yeah, this is the, if I, if
Oh,
I'm
this is
not
the one
mis-
that
yeah.
Tom mentioned? Okay. Okay, this is, I understand what you're doing. Okay. And is there some connection between One Star and Blue Agave, or is it just proximity?
It's proximity.
Okay.
Easy to manage when you can walk around the corner, check on things back and forth.
And how long have you had the other license?
At Blue Agave?
Yeah.
I guess it's been almost a year since I've been there, about.
1 year, you say?
I think so, but I mean, I prior license at Lear's, I'm sure you've,
12,
you know,
10, 2019.
at 3500 O'Donnell Street, so 12, when was it?
10, 2019.
Oh, it was just recently, okay, yeah.
And how long were you at Lear's?
Lear's was a year, sorry.
Okay.
And I'm sure you where Mr. Hammond's, the shipyard is now.
And have you had any violations on the license, either of those?
No, sir.
Okay. And who's going to be handling the alcohol at One Star Country Club? You?
Me and some other bartenders, yeah. Everyone's TAM certified. I actually have to re-up mine 2021. Got to go see Mr. Murray again. So hear some more of his stories about liquor.
Okay.
So-
Commissioners, have any questions?
None?
No questions.
Okay. Thank you, then. On the basis, then, of the materials contained in the application, the proffer from counsel, and the testimony received, I'd vote to approve the application to transfer ownership.
Also vote to approve the application for transfer of ownership.
Based upon this licensee's record and no history of violations, I would approve the transfer of ownership.
Good luck.
Thank you, member.
No
appreciate it.
exhibits.
Thank you.
Mr. Maslin?
Yes.
Calling next case, 1801 Lombard LLC, trading as Canella, 1801 East Lombard Street, is an application to transfer ownership of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, requesting off-premise catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages.
For the record, Melvin J. Kudensky representing the applicants.
Good morning. Would you folks raise your right hands, please?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Kudensky, what do we have?
This is a transfer of an existing license. We're going to have to do some amendments on this right now because originally Ms. Pauline Zaragoza was the licensee on Kenwood Avenue, and his application was approved to Kaliam, and they are now not going to go through with that deal, so she's going to stay on Kenwood. Mr. John Curtis, who's a prior licensee, is going to be the sole licensee here and 100% owner because she can't be on two BD7s. He's had the experience is indicated in there. He's been on the license at Gitan, also at Wild Buffalo Grill, a few places in Hard Times Cafe in PG County. They've talked with the neighborhood. Mr. May, I think, had sent a notice in saying that it was fine. The only glitch was that she cannot be on 2 licenses at one time.
Oh. I'm sorry. You were cut off. Go ahead.
All right, so, I mean, so in this case here, although both of them are eminently qualified, she can't be on this license on the one in Kenwood, so he's going to be the sole licensee on Lumber Street, and we're going to withdraw her name from the application.
Yeah, so Mr. Akers points out 12-1407C, which requires 15 days before the hearing for the amendment. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with your amendment, but it's not timely, apparently.
Well, the question is, if you do a withdrawal, you don't need 15 days to do a withdrawal. If you're saying you need 15 days to do a withdrawal, then just let me know that, because I don't think that's the law.
No, I'm not 100% certain.
No,
Can you-
because I withdraw the applications the date of the application. If you want to withdraw, you want to withdraw.
So you're withdrawing
We're
what?
taking Ms. Zaragoza off because she cannot be on 2 licenses at one time. We expected that the Kaliam, which you approved, would go through. That deal is falling apart. So both these were licensees that were approved before them in there. So they're husband and wife, by the way. I don't know if you
Okay. And he would be the sole licensee?
Sole licensee,
And he
and
lives
100%
in Baltimore
of-
City and meets all the other requirements?
Yeah, correct.
So the issue before the board is whether it's a major amendment, not, the crossing of an I or a dotting of a T, is a licensee that's where the license has been advertised in the newspaper, been posted to the property. Now that that individual is being removed from the license, does the board consider the removal of a licensee a major amendment?
Well, I have to say, before Mr. Kadensky ruins his case, that it seems to me that adding a licensee would be a significant change, but withdrawing a license applicant when the other one fully qualifies doesn't strike me as so major, but I'll hear from the other commissioners.
It's deleterious, so I would, and it has no impact, so I would tend to agree with you.
I can't see any negative impact at all with this, withdrawing the name.
We're not going to do this. It's just okay. How's the doctor? He's just okay.
But we haven't gotten to the ruling yet. I
No,
just
but
want to
I'm-
make sure. And we've all seen those commercials, which are not that great, but.
They're okay.
Okay.
So I have also an email that Ms., how do you say her name, ma'am? Geragos. That you met with community organization, and that you had made a representation to them that you would abide by the existing MOU at this place.
And I think her husband was there too, so he would agree to.
Well, he's going to have to now if she's not going
Yeah,
to be on
correct.
the license, so. And do you have a copy of that MOU? Not with you, but do you have one?
She does, yes.
Okay. And
The copy, I have it on the liquor license that says, that has the MOU mentioned, that's all I have.
But you don't have the MOU itself?
And I hate to interrupt, but I do, That was done by Mr. Previs, I think, so that's readily available when the current person was on there. So whatever was on there, we'll make sure before anything is issued that they'll sign. I'll have them acknowledge that he receives a copy of and agrees to be bound by the terms of that current MOU.
And Mr. Curtis, you would agree to be bound by those terms?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
It's mostly about closing like at 11 or 10 o'clock at night. They just don't want late night, which is great for me.
I understand. Okay, so commissioners have any other questions?
No.
And I don't know if I heard, Mr. Curtis, you've been a licensee, any issues with the liquor board, any violations?
Here, no.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Then, on the basis of the materials contained in the application and the proffers from counsel, the testimony received, and based on the ruling of the board that this withdrawal of the one applicant is not a major amendment under Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1407, I would vote to approve the application to transfer ownership with off-premise catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages, subject to the terms of the existing memorandum of understanding with the community organization, whose terms will be enforceable as part of your license to the extent they're enforceable by law.
I concur with the chair. Also, I would add that I'm not sure whether you stated this or not, that the name that was mentioned in this hearing be removed from the application.
I concur with my colleagues that would approve the transfer of ownership with off-premise catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages, subject to the terms of the existing MOU to the extent it's enforceable by law.
Good luck.
And I'll send the file paperwork, confirming that. All right, thank you.
Michael Elizabeth for the record. Exhibit number 1, email support from Upper Fells Point Improvement Association, Land Use Committee Chair.
Just to advise Mr. Kadinsky, this 1801 East Lombard Street was on the BMZA's non-conforming list, so they must come into conformity with the zoning code.
Okay, thank you.
Calling the next case, Caval Services LLC, trading as Spring Hill Suites, Baltimore, 16 South Calvert Street. It's an application to transfer ownership of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, thank you. Kelsey Longacre on behalf of the applicants, Neelam Patel Johnson and Jatin Patel. This is the Spring Hill Suites that is in downtown Baltimore. Mr. Jatin Patel has over 20 years of experience in owning and operating hotels. This is his first hotel in Maryland, and he's spent a good $12 million on purchasing and renovating the property in anticipation of doing business here.
Can I stop you for just a second?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to swear them in.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Would you raise your right hands, please?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, Ms. Longacre.
No, that's quite all right. I jumped the gun. It's my fault. Ms. Patel Johnson is Mr. Patel's cousin, and she lives in Baltimore, and she's lived here for quite some time. She's a licensed esthetician and has worked in the pharmaceutical industry previously and is, frankly, one of the most responsible resident agents I've run into in my practice for what that's worth. So I'm normally in Howard County where we do things by question, but it seems like we run the shop a little differently here today, so I figured I'd let you all do what you want to do.
Here you don't have council members in Howard
Yeah.
County, right? The zoning board's the council, so it might be a little bit, I don't know, we'll see. It'll be your experience.
So Mr. Patel is taking over the hotel?
Yes.
That's correct. Okay, and has he already taken over the hotel?
Yes, and they're operating under a management agreement for the license that was held by the prior owner.
How long has he been running it now?
It's about 6 months.
Yep.
Okay. And Ms. Johnson?
Johnson.
Yes, Ms. Johnson, okay. And what is your role in this?
I will be the, I am the city resident for the liquor license.
Okay, I think I misunderstood when you said her name earlier, so I
I'm
didn't-
sorry. Neelam, my middle name's Patel, and Johnson.
Oh, okay. I understand now. Okay. But you're not going to be involved day-to-day in the operation of the hotel?
Not in the operations, but I would stop in and just kind of see how the things are going.
Okay. And who's going to run the alcohol portion of this, or who is running it now while you're under the management agreement?
It's PM Hotel. It's a PM Hotel Group, and the GM, his name is Jason Davis.
Okay. And he and the people who handle the alcohol are certified?
Yes.
Yeah, and we provided copies of all of the alcohol awareness training certificates prior to the hearing this morning.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, not really. I think it's all on the application.
Commissioners have questions?
Coming from Howard County, you did a good job.
Mr. Patel, have you had any other issues at any of your other hotels in terms of liquor? No. Okay, thank you.
All right, well, thank you then. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, proffers from counsel, testimony received, I would vote to approve the transfer of ownership of this BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license.
I concur with the chair.
I vote to approve the transfer of ownership.
Good luck.
Thank you.
No exhibits for the record? You're welcome.
The Bay LLC, trading as My Way, 4800 Curtis Avenue. There's a request for a transfer hardship extension under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1705B for a Class BD7 beer wine liquor license.
Counsel?
Good afternoon, good morning still. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicant Ashley Wallace.
And Mr. Wallace, will you raise your right hand, please?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
So we received a letter signed by a Santana Reed?
Yes, he's the manager of
December.
the establishment. The licensee, Ashley Wallace, is dealing with contractors as we speak. They went through inspections after the hearing, and they are apparently past everything except for plumbing. And then I have a estimate or contractor's invoice for $2,400 worth of plumbing to be done in the basement. They indicate that they would have taken care of it right away, but it was something they had to discover, and it wasn't drip from above or anything like that. So, but that failed them. They're getting the work done now. They just need to get about another 60 days to finish up.
So is this a 90-day request?
It is a 90-day request. We'll take all we can get.
Okay. Do commissioners have questions?
None.
No questions.
All right, thank you then. On the basis then of the letter from Mr. Reed, or Ms. Reed, I'm not sure, dated December 13, 2019, indicating the problems with the plumbing inspection and the request for the hardship extension and the proffers from council this morning, I'd vote to grant a 90-day hardship extension.
I concur with the chair.
To grant the 90-day transfer hardship extension.
Thank you very much. Have a great morning.
No exhibits.
Mr. Fogelman, you okay? Want to borrow my watch? My watch.
Yeah.
I mean, you keep putting this in the.
I'm going to make your afternoon 5 minutes shorter. Thank you.
Calling the next case, Make Hay LLC, trading as trade name pending, 529 South Bond Street. This is a request for a transfer hardship extension under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1705B for a Class BD7 beer wine liquor license.
For the record, Melvin J. Nancy representing the licensee. This is a request for a 90-day extension. The property needed extensive work on Bond Street at corner of Bond and Fleet Street. They're in there doing the work now to get it up to snuff, and it's just going to need more time to finish getting all the permits done. And it's still morning as far as I know.
At least here. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No, I don't have any.
All right, so let the record reflect, we have a letter from Mr. Kadensky dated December 5, 2019, requesting the hardship extension to complete the work at the premises, and based on that and his proffered this morning, I would grant a 90-day hardship extension for the transfer.
I vote also to grant the 90-day extension.
I
of the
vote to.
transfer.
Oh, sorry. I vote to grant the 90-day hardship extension.
Good luck.
Thank you.
No exhibits.
Certainly had the names today, didn't you? Make Hay, the Bay.
Is that our morning docket? Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that concludes our morning docket.
So we start at 1.
Board's in recess until 1 p.m. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Larry, we have 2 new inspectors who need to meet you. Whenever you're ready, gentlemen.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's PM docket. Today is Thursday, January 23rd, 2020. The board will hear regular items, new, transfer, expansion, and hardship applications. When your case is called, please stand forward, step to the microphone, and state your name. If you're going to be providing testimony, please be prepared to be sworn in by our court reporter. I ask that if you have a phone or the electronic device, that you silence it or put it on vibrate now. A preliminary matter, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Case number 6 on the docket. It's a sole proprietorship trading as Burgers Tavern, 5523 Bel Air Road. This was an application transfer ownership of a Class BD7 license. This matter has been postponed and will be set on a future date. Mr. Chair, permission to call case number 7.
Go ahead, please.
Calling MTKG LLC, trading as Waverly Tavern, 3801 Old York Road. This is an application transfer ownership of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license.
Counsel.
Yes, good afternoon. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicants in this
Good
matter.
afternoon. Would all those who are going to testify in this matter please raise your right hands?
You all solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fogelman.
Thank you very much. We're here at 3801 Old York Road transfer. We had over Saturday, the snowy day, we all got together at Old York Road and were able to come up with an agreement for the new ownership. We executed 5 original MOU copies today. I wanted the Valeries to have one. I wanted the Waverly Improvement Association to have one, my client to have one, so we're down to 2. I'd like to put one of them into evidence with Ms. Russell, and I'll give the board this copy to review. It's pretty simple. All the bullet points are on the front of the document. It involves a lot of security. The good news about this bar is that, as you may remember, they started closing at 10 o'clock every night in lieu of 2 a.m., and they started putting out security every night from 7 to 10. They haven't, as far as we know, they haven't had a 311 complaint in many, many months, and we're grateful for the board's attention in this matter, and we're grateful for the community to come together and hopefully work out a nice solution for all.
Before we go there, can you tell us about the new applicants?
Absolutely. Nipen Maharjan is the majority owner. He resides above the bar, and he is, but not for 2 years, and so he's not able to be the city resident. O'Neill Myrie, who's to my immediate right, he is a city resident, minority owner, and in fact the security guard that is outside every night from 7 to 10. The Valeries and I were laughing. We don't think we've ever had security guard of the premises on a license before, so we won't be able to blame it on a contractor or anything like that. But in any event, Mr. Maharjan has retail experience for many years, managed the, I want to say BP station at Sisson and 28th. So he's certainly familiar with dealing with loiterers, with asking people to move on, and quelling any disturbances on the lot of the gas station. Mr. Myrie, like I say, he does security, and they do want to, although it's not in the MOU, they'd like to change the name of the operation to reflect a new beginning. Both of them will be handling alcohol.
And will they be certified?
Yes, in the MOU, we've agreed not only to have both of them to be certified. As you know, state law just requires one person on premises to be certified, but they're going to have all their employees certified, given the sensitivity, the nature of the history of this matter.
Has this tavern closed?
No, it's been closed for short periods of time under directives by this board.
Okay, but other than that, I mean,
no,
okay.
It's open and operating.
Okay, is the other gentleman part of this as well?
No, Mr. Karki is one of the outgoing sellers. He's, Yeah, he's just here to observe and make sure it happens. You may remember that we had to withdraw a petition the last time that we came before you on a transfer, so I think he just wants to make sure it really goes through.
Okay, and we have community representatives. So do you all want to identify yourselves?
My name's Kunsan Swiley. I'm the co-president for the Waverly Improvement Association. Good afternoon, Board of Liquor License Commissioners. We are in full support of this transfer of ownership. We met with Mr. Nipen on Saturday, January the 18th, and we had a very productive meeting that came out that produced this MOU that the whole board has agreed to, and we are very hopeful this can become a community establishment, and we are very happy that the new licensees are willing to change the name of the establishment. We hope that the liquor license commissioners will vote in favor of this transfer. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, could you we need you to spell your name. I'm sorry.
Kun, S as in son, UN, Swiley, S as in son, WEELEY.
Thank you. Ms. Valeri.
Hi, I'm
Barbara Valeri, a resident of the 46th District of Baltimore City and a member of the Baltimore Good Neighbors Coalition. There was an additional item that somehow got omitted from the MOU, and that was a catch-all phrase that the licensees would comply with all federal, state, and local rules and regulations. And
It's one of our requirements anyway. So.
and Mr. Fogelman and I made it very clear to the prospective licensee that he will have to very shortly increase the amount of on-premises sales in his establishment in order to meet the requirements of Transform Baltimore. Those will kick in as of May of this year. And the zoning folks will start inspecting establishments and looking at the records to make sure that is happening. And to that extent, he's agreed to have at least 2 people on premises, one to manage the retail sales and one to manage the tavern. So we see that as a very positive step, and we're very encouraged by what he's doing or plans to do.
Okay, appreciate it. Councilwoman?
Mary Pat Clark, Baltimore City Council. This establishment is a block north of my district, but I've let Councilman Bill Henry know that, as usual, I was coming down around this issue because it very much affects both of us, both of our districts. And it has been a pain for us and an upset for just a very dense neighborhood around it. And so I'm glad to see that we're going to have a transfer and that we have this list of things that are going to be done. I just want to say that we will definitely be back, the 4th and the 14th districts, if it doesn't work and we get back to the craziness that we've seen generated in the past. Vis-a-vis that, I would just like to add, and it is a rule and a law, I believe, that we would, it's certainly, I think, a rule that we need those 2 employees because we need the tavern part to be operational and not the place where the carryout guy runs back if somebody happens to walk in the door of the tavern. I mean, basically, it could be a wonderful neighborhood tavern. People would like it if it really were one. And really, the license requires it become one. And that's very important to us because right now, or in the past, as you well know on this board, and you've been very helpful to us, it's been a carry out, and it didn't get carried out very far. And we can't have that happen again. And I think that this is a good beginning. I'm glad somebody lives there. I'm glad we're going to always have a security guard and 2 employees on site so that each part of this establishment is operational and people are not running back and forth to cover it all. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I just offer a copy of the notice that was sent out in May of 2018 to the property owner, alerting them to the zoning requirements that would kick in as of May of 2020.
You've seen this?
I have.
Thank you. It'll be received.
No objection.
And do the new licensees, they agree that the terms of the MOU will be a restriction on their license?
Yes, I agree with all the terms. We had a meeting, so it went well. We agree.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So I have a question about the MOU.
Mm-hmm.
So paragraphs 7 and 8, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. What I'm hearing from the testimony is that this is 2 employees plus, during those times, a security guard. Yeah. So given that Mr. Myrie, it sounds like he's a security guard and possibly an employee and clearly an owner, I want to make sure that we're clear that it's 2 employees and the security guard during that time.
Yeah, that was not explicitly agreed to, but it does make sense that from 7 to 10, they'll have 3 people there.
But that's that's why I want to make sure we're clear on the record.
You agree with that?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Question, so that's when, So 7 to 10 is when the security guard is there.
Correct. And that's Mr. Myrie.
And so there'll be 3 then, I'm repeating everything, but I need to. There'll be 3 people there then who are employed. But always, when it's open, when anything's open, there'll be 2.
Say yes, yes.
Yes, we agree.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner, anything?
Oh, none, this councilwoman did a great job.
Well, I think the community and these applicants, thank you, of course, really did the work, and we're just glad to see it done.
Okay.
And hope for the best. It's in our interest for this to be a neighborhood place, not like a hangout on the sidewalk.
All right, thank you. So on the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from council, testimony received, as well as the exhibits, including particularly the memorandum of understanding between Waverly Improvement Association and the licensees as for what is now known as the Waverly Tavern. On the basis of all that material, I would vote to approve the application to transfer ownership, the new license being subject to the terms of the MOU to the extent they're enforceable by law.
I concur with the chair.
I too applaud both parties for coming together on this, because I know this has been a real challenge. So, good luck to you, and congrats to the community for your involvement. I too would join my colleagues in granting the transfer of ownership and subject to the terms of an MOU to the extent they're enforceable by law.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck, everyone.
Appreciate it.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, MOU. Board Exhibit 2, letter from Mayor, City Council, Baltimore Department of Housing and Community Development dated Thank you.
Yes. And for the record, although Ms. Bavilieri did state it, we do keep the letters, the zoning letters for each of these cases where zoning has sent a letter. So it is our policy at the end of each hearing to let the applicant know that they're taking this license subject to the terms of the new zoning code, which went into effect in late 2016.
Thank you very much.
Calling the next case, Magic Work LLC, trading as Akira Ramen, 3731 Boston Street. There's an application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12903C2 small I, requiring $500,000 in capital investment in restaurant fixtures and facilities, 51% of food sales, and seating capacities for 75 but not more than 150 individuals, requesting outdoor table service and off-premise catering.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky representing the applicants.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Please raise your right hands.
You solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you. Thank you.
This is an application for a new Class B license in Canton Crossing. Years ago, I don't know, it was Pi 360 was there at one time. They had a license before, but they have since gone out of the way. The current licensee, Mr. Chen, has been operating there since April in the business, but now he's sees the need for having an alcoholic beverage license. He's talked with the landlord, has consented to go along with it. Mr. Mandel is the person has the experience. He was on a license in Whetstone. He's coming off there. Basically, they're going to have 8 employees, 4 front of the house, 4 back of the house. He's going to see to it that his employees are going to be alcohol certified. And he was telling me that most of his businesses, he's finished by 10, 11 o'clock. It's not that kind of place. I'm going to submit for you, and I've got for each one of you.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Copy of the proposed menu. And along with that, we've had Mr. Jonathan Melnick go and evaluate the capital improvements since a lot of them were there, and he's been there since April. And his evaluation comes up to over $1 million for that location. I think, and I'm not telling you word of low, but if you go to the back of it, you'll see the pictures. You know, it shows very well, and it has seating for under 150.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as indicated, the persons who will be serving alcohol will be alcohol certified. The licensee, Mr. Chen, is familiar with the restaurant business, but not so much alcoholic beverage. It's actually looking at all the locations out on Honeygo Boulevard and so forth. I think it's a nice concept. Mr. Mandel will give him the schooling that he needs regarding having a licensee on the license. And other than that, since they've been operating there, they've had no problems because it's all been BYOB up to them, up till then, now.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
None?
Tell me about the outdoor table service.
There's outdoor table service in front. It's like a little area and.
It's existing now?
Yeah, it's out there now, yeah.
There's a railing around it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And you're going to educate Mr. Shen about all the problems he can get into if he's not careful?
100%.
Yeah, it'll
Okay.
be like the Manchurian candidate.
Okay. Anything further?
No.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from council, the testimony received, and the exhibits which will be received, I'd vote to approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license with outdoor table service and off-premise catering.
I concur with the chair.
I too approve the new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license with outdoor table service and off-premise catering. Good luck.
Good luck,
Thank you.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
Call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, menu. Board Exhibit 2, capital investment. Thank you.
Calling the next case, 26 East Cross LLC, trading as Stalking Horse, 26 through 30 East Cross Street. There's an application to transfer ownership of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky, again, representing the applicants in this case.
Good afternoon. Would you folks raise your right hands, please?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you?
This is a pretty seamless type transfer because the same corporation, Mr. McFall is coming off the license. The other applicants have been on the license and they've been licensees. So it's just a matter of his selling his interest and getting, converting his interest over to Ms. Rita.
Okay.
So they've been operating there. They know the rules and regulations. So the only change is that there's been a 99% change in the stockholder.
Okay. And they haven't had any violations?
Not that I haven't been here. Usually I would be here seeing you all.
Okay.
This is the ambassador, though, right?
No, no, no.
No, this is
Cross Street.
Horse.
Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one.
Well, so was I. The second verse, same as the first.
Well, you know what? It's Mr. Acris's fault. All right, thank you.
I'll take that one.
Did you have any questions?
I have
Commissioner?
none, no.
All right. Okay, well, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, proffers from council, understanding that it's really a business transaction, I would vote to approve the application to transfer ownership.
I also agree to approve the transfer of ownership.
To approve the transfer of ownership.
Good luck.
Thank you. No exhibits.
Want to say anything? Go ahead. Thanks, Mel. Let me see.
Charisti LLC, trading as Ambassador Dining Room, 3811 Canterbury Road. This is an application to transfer ownership under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1609E 1 through 2, requesting outdoor table service and off-premise catering. One of the licensees currently holds a B license, and this is a request to add an additional B and waiving the requirements for issuance.
This is Melvin J. Kadensky representing the applicants. You guys can
Let me swear them all in. Anybody who's going to testify, please raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you? Thank you. Thank you.
This is a transfer of an existing restaurant. It's been there for a long time. I'm sure, I mean, one time or another, we all probably been there in the Ambassador, even when it was open, you know. Mr. Gopal has experience in the restaurant business. He's on the license at Namaste, which is on Cold Spring Lane.
Oh, yes.
And he's there just as a city resident. In that capacity, they needed him to be on there, so he has Namaste's had no violation of any histories, and it's in good standing and so forth. But you know, they needed him at Namaste. And so has basically about 8 employees, 4 front of the house, 4 back of the house. They'll be alcohol certified. He has experience in the restaurant business. And I think he'll be a real asset to the area. He's been, working on trying to get this, finished for a while, and finally got to the point where we have a hearing. I know Councilman Clark may have a question you want to, I don't know. Okay,
Go ahead if you have a question.
Mary Pat Clark, and I live half a block away from this restaurant, which happens to be one of my favorite in all of Baltimore. And so I'm not here opposed to it. I just wanted to understand what changes were going on about this. Is it still going to be the Indian restaurant that it is now? And the other question was, finally, the reconstruction outside is finished that the apartment building has undertaken, which means the opportunity for outdoor dining, which I think is great. And it's a beautiful space. I just want to make sure that the restaurant owners will remember that there's a lot of people that live in apartments in that very building and across the yard. And so that you will make sure not to have loud music that I have to get calls about.
Well, you're in my backyard, so be careful.
But I don't think it's the nature of that restaurant to do that, but I just...
get some more businesses, that's what we're trying to do.
And you're keeping the same
Yes, same menu.
restaurant?
Same restaurant, same menu, and same as it is. But we can add some menus and more, but it's gonna be as it is, yeah, absolutely.
Sounds good to me, thank you, that's why I came.
Okay, thank you. Anything further, Mr. Knesset?
Nothing further, although they're Nepalese. Nepalese.
Himalaya.
Yeah.
Okay, so the qualifying factors that we need to consider include Mr. Gopal's status as a current licensee at Namaste, fact that there's no history of violations, that the corporation is in good standing, and that there have been no 311 calls in its history, and the licensed premise was inspected 2 times in the past year and found to be in compliance. So on the basis of those findings, the materials contained in the application and proffers from council and the testimony received, I would vote to approve the application to transfer ownership with outdoor table service and off-premise catering.
I concur with the chair. However, I want to make sure that Councilman Clark's points of speaking points were taken by you, and that you remember what you have there and what not to do. Don't change it without doing the proper things.
I think you're, let it be written, let it be said.
I think this restaurant elicits a lot of emotion from people, clearly. So based upon the record, based upon the fact that you have had no history of violations at Namaste, we haven't had 311 calls there, good record, I would find that you are of good business reputation, which would allow for a transfer. So I'd vote to approve the transfer of ownership with outdoor table service and off-premise catering.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No exhibits.
Let the record show that I was here in support of 2 different yes. on
Came
that.
on the dark side for, it's not
Right.
like it, I can say.
No, no.
Calling next case, DY Brothers LLC, trading as JP's 528 South Bolden Street. It's a Class BD7 beer wine liquor license and application to transfer ownership.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Frank Boozer on behalf of DY Brothers. Standing next to me is applicant Deepa Khatri. I spoke with Mr. Akris, and it's my understanding that the board approved the second licensee not being here because he was on business traveling out of the country at the time. We cleared that about a week ago.
That's understood. Fine. Would you raise your right hand, sir, please?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you?
I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Boozer?
Mr. Chairman, as the application states, is simply a transfer of JPs. With me is the 32-year owner, Mr. Pershing of JPs, who's well known to the Canton community, apparently to members of this board and the liquor board. Mr. Kotry seeks to carry on that tradition as a neighborhood sports bar. Mr. Pershing has done everything perfectly and has a great following, a great reputation. Mr. Kotry seeks to emulate that. In regards to the community association, we talked with Mr. Doug Kaufman of the Canton Community Association. I have in my email the last draft of the MOU. We simply need to put pen to paper. We've agreed to the terms of the MOU. It's a standard MOU. There is not any specific items outside the ordinary.
He's agreed to make the terms of it a part of his license?
Yes. Mr. Kotry, you've agreed? Yes. He plans on having 3 to 4 employees. Of course, they all will be certified. TAM certified. Mr. Kotry will be certified as well before receiving the license. In terms of background, Mr. Kotry has been fortunate enough to work at his friend's establishment for 6 months to 8 months. It's also in Baltimore City, and learn the business. But JP obviously needs no introduction. He seeks to continue business as is a neighborhood sports bar. As far as 311 complaints, it's my understanding that there are some complaints, but the majority of the neighborhood, as witnessed in the MOU that we're going to sign, is tremendously happy with JP's. I think there's 40 residences surrounding JP's in the immediate vicinity, and one has an issue, but we hope to also get that resolved.
So will you file a signed copy of the MOU with the board once you get it?
Absolutely.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
None.
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from counsel, and testimony received, I'd vote to approve the application to transfer ownership of this license subject to the terms of the MOU to the extent that they are enforceable by law.
Also approve the application for transfer of ownership.
I vote to approve the transfer of ownership subject to the MOU to the extent it's enforceable by law.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good to see you.
Thank you.
No exhibits?
Just, Mr. Boozer, just to let you know, 528 South Bolton Street did receive correspondence from the Department of Housing and Community Development. Must be in conformity with the zoning code. Calling next case, Conkling Holdings Incorporated, trading as K&D Sports Bar Lounge, 200 South Conkling. It's an application to transfer ownership and expand the licensed premises to include basement for business of a Class BD7 beer, wine, liquor license.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Peter Previs on behalf of the licensees. To my immediate right is Mr. David Paravano, who's the existing licensee and will continue as a licensee.
Nice, swear him in.
Sure.
Would you raise your right hand, sir, please?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. This application actually has 2 parts to it. The reason that we initiated this was actually for the expansion to include the basement onto the licensed premises. But while we were at it, Mr. Ivano Paravano, Mr. David's brother, was on as licensee. He wishes to come off, and his ex-wife, Nicole Paravano, is going on as licensee. She's a teacher at Perry Hall Middle and had trouble getting arrangements to get off today, and that's why she's not here. But she's worked all her life in the business. And
She get along with her former brother-in-law?
she gets along with her former brother-in-law.
Okay.
Very well. In any event, okay. It was quite interesting researching the cards, the license cards on this premises. So this was Tommy's Bar, and this Tommy Wall being the son-in-law of Pete Caringi of Highlandtown soccer fame. The son and the grandson are now the coaches at UMBC, and this was the place where the Italian American soccer aficionados hung out back in the day and up till very recently. So the license went in as a B license in 1947 as Specca's Restaurant, and it said basement for business on the cards. And then at some point on May 159, the card said basement for storage. And then the cards in 8/24/78, there was a transfer, and I think that's when Tommy took over. It said basement for business again. And then in 1995, it said first floor and didn't mention the basement whatsoever. And then Mr. Paravano took over around 2006, and then the card started saying again basement for storage. But we went to zoning and we showed the non-conforming use in that the area in the basement it's never changed, and it's been there. And we had testimony from old timers that they had gone to christening parties way back when into the 60s and 70s and watched soccer games there in the basement. So it had always been there, but it keeps going back and forth. But we wanted to make sure that by the book that we requested the board that we add this to the license for basement for business again. And that's the purpose of the application. So it's two parts. Take Ivano off, add Nicole, and also add basement for business. And we have the zoning resolution that's in the packet.
Well, once again, Mel and I are the only ones who were here in 1947 when this began. But we wish them the best. The commissioners have questions?
No.
Just a question, what exactly the expansion of the licensed premises, what do you intend to, I mean, obviously, is it just for
it's a
additional space?
Yes, I didn't bring the photographs, but the downstairs there's the old photographs of the bar has been there for forever, and it's just to utilize that so it's not being utilized illegally because the license actually says basement for storage. We want to make sure that it's on the licensed premises and it's by the book.
Thank you.
So it's just additional space, oftentimes used if somebody wanted to have like I said, there were christening parties and watch World Cup soccer games and whatnot.
Great, thank you.
Overflow.
Okay, thank you. All right, on the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the representations from council, any testimony received, I would vote both to permit the change in license application and to approve the transfer of ownership and expansion of the licensed premises to include the basement.
Thank you.
I also vote to transfer the ownership and expand the licensed premises to include the basement for business.
I too vote to approve the transfer of ownership and the expansion of the licensed premises.
Thank you. I forgot to mention for the record that Nicole is moving to there's that complex near the old Hausners on Eastern Avenue. We will be providing the board with her new address as she's moving, but it's within the city.
Okay, thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
No exhibits.
Just of note, that 200 South Conkling Street received notice from Department of Housing and Community Development to come into conformity and stay in conformity with the new zoning code.
Does that conclude our docket, Mr. Akris?
That does, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I'll see you next time.
Board is in recess until February 6th, 2020 at 11 a.m.